So it's October 4th, 2019. 5:45 or 5:50, 5:55. I'm not sure. My wristwatches sometimes doesn't work. All right, so I want to continue with the drama blog 83. These drama blogs, there's like over 100 videos, over like 110. So, and they're all like almost an hour each. So that's a lot of drama. So, and there's more. So, I mean, apologize for the rants in between, but I just want to get it out there so that it's there. 'Cause damn, I got buried. All right, so this is kind of off topic as far as important issues, but it is kind of important just for me and my art, and for the people that know me or follow what I've been doing. It's art has been, it's my moneymaker, it's my living, it's what I've devoted my life to. So 42 years old, it's important to clarify my life's work, and call anybody out that needs to be called out, or defend anything that needs to be defended. And because in reality, I haven't made money off of it, and if it keeps me from making money off of it, or it never to see the light of day, that's a problem for me. So I'm just setting some issues straight with that. So I'm talking about my music, and I've been wanting to talk about these things even. So now I have a clear slate to be able to discuss these, pretty intimate issues, and set the record straight. So, and these are public issues, things that are already in the public, even if it's my little world, Butte County world or whatever. It is, it's already been out, and so it's not something that I'm want to bring up because of ego, or of not just ego, but of calling people out just to call them out. It's because I already, the stone already got thrown, so I'm just throwing it back. And so the music thing, I want to start from the first band. So as I discussed in the last drama blogs, was the first band was Darker Image, right? And or DI or whatever. And the issue with that one that I want to talk about, not really about the members of the band, but what happened with the recordings after, which now they're lost, and somebody has them, but I don't know who does. And so the last we had recorded, and then, like I said, the two Matts were the ones that were pretty much in charge of the band, and they were like the ones keeping anything that we created for the band, which included the recordings. So Matt Glaze, the drummer, and the thing with that is I wrote most of the songs, and my brother wrote the lyrics to Pole Bar Holler, and Matt Houck actually added lead guitar that made that song sound good. Pretty much they drowned out my rhythm guitar, and he added, and the switch. Yeah, this is the first version, and even when we played it live, but it was a good song. And the other songs I pretty much wrote, and even sang one of the songs. And when we played live, I started singing a few more songs that we never recorded, but for the most part, I wrote the music and the lyrics, and then the band added, mostly Matt Hauk was the one that added something that made the song fuller. Adding wah wah and his leads and stuff made it sound, just accompaniment guitar, which was sounded great. So it made the song sound good, made it rock and roll. And so the recordings that we did, we had the DAT, I think it's called, which was the masters. We had the masters, and quickly broke up right after we recorded, which was, I don't know why bands do that, but they seem to do that. So the Matt Glaze had the master recording, and so I never really got to have my songs, and I was like, and quickly we started another band, so those are old songs, and we didn't never really play them again, so it wasn't really that important. But to me, there were songs that I had written on acoustic, and so I would still, play them, and still know how to play them to this day. So, and he did, the drummer would ever use them, I guess. So I don't know why he held on to him. So when that happened, I didn't see it for years, and then I went to I went to Butte College, and I went to Butte College for a lot of years, so from 18 to 26, I don't know, maybe not that long, no, 19 to 26 years old. So I was there for a long time. I was, going to school, doing a bunch of art, doing all the art stuff, and had free reign of doing all kinds of cool art projects and sculpture and painting and computer arts and video editing, and it was my stomping ground for. And then I had a kid, and then so that was a big old issue, and then getting myself a degree and going to art school with all these issues kept me there for a while, and financial aid and all this stuff. So all this stuff, and so I was there for more years than I probably should have been. But I don't regret it because I was doing cool stuff. But so one of the classes towards the end of going to Butte College was a music recording class, which the studio was in Chico, and I didn't really think about that studio because I didn't even know a lot about Chico, the dynamics between Oroville, Chico. It was not in my radar, or I didn't think about it. So when I realized that studio was there, I was like, oh shit, you could take a class there, and I can do what I've eventually want to do. We didn't get a lot of time to do the editing or whatever. We didn't get a lot of hands-on time, so the class wasn't all great to me. But what happened was the owner, when I took the class, I was like, hey, we recorded here a long time ago, and do you still have the recordings? And I thought they were gone. So, but they were there, and I was like, oh my God, my songs, and they were the original version, so they were editable, mixable. So what happened was that I was like, fuck yeah, dude. So I started mixing these two songs that I thought were the best. As far as, to start, I was going to mix them all. But the first one that I did was Purple Holler, which was easy because I can get the mix that I wanted, which was put my guitar in a little bit more so you can hear some of the rhythm guitar, which I thought was important to the song because it added the funk, it added the rhythm, added some soul in there, dynamics. So that was good, and then fixed the vocals, put a little bit of reverb on the vocal, or took off some reverb. That's what the whole mix, they put so much reverb on it that it sounded terrible. It sounded like generic recording. So I took off some reverb, and I added, for the chorus, I added second vocal, or background vocal or whatever, company vocal, which made it sound great, and it was like perfect. And so I was like, and that's one of the gifts that I do have, is I have a good ear for how a song should, everybody does. If you're a musician, you write a song, you know how it should sound. So that's what happened. And then so that was perfect, and so perfected that song, and I was like, yeah, and I was super excited. And the guys were surprised too, because they thought it was a lost cause. They didn't care about the music. But when I started doing that, they were like, oh shit, dude, this sounds really good. And added, that probably took like $100-200 just to do one song or whatever. And then I did a second song, which was a slower song, and it was like, had the wah wah pedal too, and it was like a song that I sang, that I was singing on, and it was like Anna something. I don't even remember the name of the song, but it had the lead guitar player added such a cool like solo. The solo was fucking awesome, and during the verse it was like a wah 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 wah. It just sounded perfect. It was like great song, and it was creative. It was different than, maybe the closest thing was a Black Crow song, but it wasn't even a Black Crow song, So I fixed the verses, and I fixed the choruses, which needed a second vocal on the chorus or something. It sounded great. Like, I was like, yeah, dude. I was so happy getting these done, and I was like, there was like 3 more songs, like Where Are All the Stars, which was more country rock song, and then Dedication, which I never got to. I didn't like, same thing, the vocals had too much reverb, and it had too much, didn't have the accompany vocals or whatever. So there was some missing pieces that just needed quick put in. Everything else was good, and all the original recordings were good. It just needed a little bit of fixing up, or adding some dynamics in there. So I finished those songs, and I was video editing at the time, so I was making music videos for these, and damn it, like, I forget what happened. I left. I was like, the class ended, and I had the option to take the studio recordings or leave them there for when I was gonna continue recording. And freaking, they got, basically, I left them there with the guy saying, just leave them here, they'll be here. And then, life went on. A couple years passed, 3 maybe, I don't know how long, 2, 3 years, 2 years maybe. And I thought, I was like, oh, and then so I went back before I went to art school, and during that time, the band, we had gotten back together, the American Fiction, I think, and or maybe not, I don't know. So somewhere, years passed, time passed, I went back, and the guy had just sold the studio, and he said he trashed a lot of the old recordings. And the thing he said, normally people don't do that, like get rid of the recordings, because they know musicians will come back years later to mix, things that finished up their recordings, and so it's a normal thing. And I had been there like recently, so it was like, for them to to get rid of my recordings was questionable, and I never seen the songs again. It's fucked up, man. Like, I lost those songs, so the recordings at least, and the energy that was there during that time, because after time the songs change and they get older, and the energy is not there, so are different. So those recordings, I don't know who has them or if they're gone, like, So that happened to those recordings, and that was something that, looking back on, it's like I wonder what really happened. Like, I wonder if that was on purpose or what. But so and then so the only other option was something. So I asked Matt Glaze. I was like, "Hey, where's those old recordings and stuff?" And he was like, or the old, the masters. And he was like, "Oh, ask Tommy." So then, because then Ruben, my brother, was like, "Oh, I heard a song that sounds like one of your songs, pretty much exactly like Where All the Stars." And I was like, "Damn, like, um, like, did somebody actually take my songs? Like, did somebody actually like did Tommy sell my shit? Like, and fucking put into his own business?" So that's kind of where it got left at, and now I'm like, so that's where those batch of songs, because really, like, and a bass player to like do that is like, how the hell didn't even have nothing to do with writing the songs. So anyway, I'm not trying to make assumptions because I don't know, but for the most part, those are songs that I felt pretty strong ownership to. And then American Fiction. So this band, we got together when I was around 17, and did a couple years in this, and we've played some older songs. We went by Midnight Train first, and we didn't record. The bass player's household was where they had the PA, and his uncle Doug and this other hippie guy that looked like Chong from Cheech and Chong. So these guys are in the music business locally, and I don't know how, like, they were already older, and so they were recording people, but they were, I don't know if they did a lot of acid or what, but they were kind of like, not able to get stuff together. So I don't know exactly what happened, but I guess Jake Daly, his mom lived in LA, and didn't like really mean anything to me at the time. But now that I think about it, there's some questions there. And so they would record us. We'd practice. Me, Dave, and Matt were buddies, and then so when we would go there to practice and jam, and they would always like fuck with the PA mix. Like, so we'd get an hour in, or get some songs in, and then they'd start messing with the dials, and then pretty soon we were sitting there for an hour or two. So it was kind of like weird, and they always wanted Dave as their drummer. So it was always kind of like, some weird energy there. And but that's where so they recorded us, but we never heard the recording. So I don't know what they did with all those. And then but we didn't write that many songs. It was like 5 songs that we played over and over, and some covers. Did some parties, did some gigs, but had a good time. Smoked weed and drank, but nothing ever came out of that, and other than gigs and some good times. And then I started going to school, to college, and then during college, I think I had a kid, and then I don't know where I got the band back together. I was like, yo, and then so we started playing again, and this is where the main chunk of time and energy, and we actually started doing some cool gigs, and some which Jake got us some gigs in Chico, and this is where the Chico scene started becoming something. Actually, that was so the first time I think he got us some gigs, because I guess when we did the radio show with DI, the first band, Matt met him. We met him. He was hosting on KZFR or something. So we played on that show, and then which is a local Chico music station or whatever, and so him and his, I don't know who else was doing the radio show, Jake, and then so I guess that's how they became buddies, and we started playing music. So when we got together a second time, I saw Dave. He was playing with the country band in downtown Oroville, and I was like, yo, we'll play some music. And then Matt was an old buddy, so he was cool with it. And then I think he was playing with the cover band in Chico, which, they played old R&B songs or whatever. And so I don't know, he was the lead guitar. I don't know what happened, if they had a fallout or something happened. And then so he was jamming with us and them at the same time, and then he ended up being in the band, or devoting his time to our band. And then Jake was just same Jake, and I don't know if we were no. I think we had seen each other at Butte College before that, and there was a girl that I was having a kid and with this girl, so there was this other girl that was in the class, and we had some flirtatious moments, which one of those girls that's just gorgeous girl that just never happened, but he ended up dating her, and then she was just gorgeous. She was super gorgeous, and we had a moment, and then he got jealous. I don't know if she dumped him so there was a weird issue with that, and so I don't know if that played in. And then we started the band again, and I don't know, he had another girlfriend, the girl that he ended up marrying and have kids with, Chelsea, and she played music. And so when I was dealing with stuff after I had a kid and everything, I wrecked my car, and so I had no car, so I had to stay at a friend in Paradise, and then a friend, then they're at the band's place. So I had a kid, and I had to go to school, and I was trying to do the band. And since my house was, I was renting, me and my dad were renting a house in Berry Creek, I had to, and that's like 45-minute drive up the mountain, or 30-minute drive up the mountain. So I was having to stay in town with my clothes and my guitar for 5 days a week to finish up the semester or whatever. And man, it was just a hectic time. Sleeping in the freaking with the sleeping bag on the floor, in the hippie house. It was like, so she was there, and and it was just a weird dynamic. She was kind of bossy, kind of challenging to me, because I was the band singer and the leader of the band, and as far as creatively, so she was kind of like trying to get him to be the leader of the band. I don't know, it was kind of me and him always had creative differences, where he always wanted to be the guy, and he would like play punk music or whatever, and so he was like, blues rock is like, forget that. So he wasn't down with what I was putting out. And I think the Mexican thing was an issue too, where he wanted to represent what he was doing, and I wanted to represent what I was doing more Rage Against the Machine, System of a Down stuff. And so I don't know exactly, but musically it was sounding good what we did, and there was a lot of issues of putting the guitar down. Just like they were kind of going towards Tool stuff. There was some cultural stuff happening. So the creative direction was going a little different between us, but so we ended up breaking up, right? Or ended up recording, setting up. Actually, when we first started, we did 3-song demo, and then which was like Mana. Bastard Generation, and a song called Evil, which was like a Santana song, love song or whatever. And those 3 songs never got mixed or never got fully mixed. We just went and recorded. I think that was the first time when we first got together, and we recorded those songs, and then we broke up, and then when we got back together, we recorded 5 more songs or something like that, which I made a mistake. The song that they wrote the music to was actually a song called Broken, which sounded like a Tool song, but I wrote lyrics that didn't sound nothing like Tool because I wasn't into Tool at the time. And then You Are the One, which they wrote the music to, and they used it in their other band, I guess. But I had wrote the words and did the mixing, and anyway, so those 2 songs are the ones. And Since the Day I Was Born was actually something I had brought into the band, but we kind of rearranged it. So those 3 songs actually were the most collaboration of the bunch. The other songs were pretty straight on forward of what I created, and we played it, and of course, they're all 3 of those guys are great musicians, and so they added their talents to making those songs American fiction songs. So, which was different than what I had envisioned. I wanted more funky, more soulful. So, and at the time, soul music wasn't cool, I guess, to the rockers. So they were, funk and all that stuff, they weren't into it. So that was part of the breakup too. But okay, so this is the drama right here. So the drama was when when we were already gonna break up. So I didn't even know we were gonna break up till they were like, okay, we're gonna break up. Or I don't know. Okay, so I go, and I guess they were getting together. Jake was getting them together, and getting them to. Okay, so he would record the gigs when we played gigs, and he would videotape it, and then I never seen any of them. And then one time towards the end, he was like, "Oh yeah, come check these out. I have a videotape. They want to come listen." So it's just me and him. So, and after I realized, like, I guess him and the other guys would get in together. And this is when they're already writing songs, starting to write songs. Just them 3 getting together, them 3. And I was going to school and stuff like that, so there was also an issue of me not really hanging out with the guys. So there was some issues. When we do gigs, I would talk to the dudes that I met through Butte College, other musicians in Chico, and so there was some issues, like with my old friends tripping out on new guys. So I think that was an issue. But in Oroville, when we were jamming, I didn't, these guys were starting to do things on their own, which I figured I was just too busy, but come to find out they were actually planning on throwing me out the band, right? Or whatever, breaking up the band and starting a new band without me. So, but I was doing my art and stuff like that, so I don't blame them. I was doing different projects on my own, so I couldn't blame them. But the way Jake did it was fucked up, because he was getting together and I guess putting on these videotapes of the gigs, and then this is why I think, because I can tell by his reaction. When I went there, he was like, yeah, and so we sit down, and then he pulls out these big old speakers and hooks them up to this little TV, and it had bass, and so we were listening, and he's like, and he got surprised and stuff, and he was like, oh, this sounds pretty good. And it was this one song that was like Tales and Stories, and it had like, the music that I was pulling in was not, the new songs that I was bringing in at that time weren't hard rock songs or heavy metal songs. They were more intricate and stuff, almost, I would almost say Radiohead kind of style. And what happened with that was they weren't able to play it right, and so I was just going with it because there were new songs, and even if we gigged with them, they needed background vocals. I was like, I wanted those vocals that had like 3 people singing the damn vocals, and I needed another singer. I needed somebody to, and Jake was like, oh, his voice didn't sound good, and like singing with me. So it was like, there was nobody else. There was no, it wasn't right. And the drums were always like, you know, too much drums, you know, instead of laying back, it was just like, you know, trying to do Tool stuff to like Lenny Kravitz music and stuff. And it's like, ooh, you know, like, so, and so they were into something, they were trying to do hard rock or heavy metal, and I was trying to do classic rock, funk music. So I was bringing these songs in that needed more finesse to them, and they were just rocking them out. So when I was trying to sing, I was like, you know, and through the whole band, I was like screaming because I could never hear myself at the gig, at the practice. When we were doing practices, always like I have to scream just to be heard. So when we would gig, that's the only way we did the song. And so, you know, so there was a lot of creative singing issues that I had, that they had, but it was also because of the way our sound system was set. And it was like I could never practice the way it should sound, you know. So I never had like my own PA, or never was able to hear myself, you know, in recordings or in gigs. So that was also something that was just like whatever, you know. But even with that, when we saw the footage, he was surprised, and I was like, hey, this is pretty good. And it was one of the songs that had finesse, that needed like background vocals and, you know, harmonies and stuff, like Beatles. I kept telling him Beatles. I was like, dude, we need something that sounded like that, more Beatles. You know, we need harmonies and stuff, like complicated harmonies, and they, you know, towards the end, when I was finally, you know, trying to pinpoint the direction I wanted to go towards, that's when it came to a head where he was, so basically he got the guys together, made me sound like shit, I don't know what they were talking about, but basically they were already kicking me out, right? So, but I didn't know nothing about it. And then we get to the end of the line, and they're like, and I put effort into like printing up shirts. I made a logo, fucking made shirts for the first time, you know, put my art skills on the line. Got this dude, paid $100 or something to print up these shirts from this dude I met in Chico from school, and a photographer dude, and he ended up taking photographs. Everybody fucking knew about us breaking up and shit, other than me. You know, it was pretty fucked up how it was arranged, and I blame Jake because he had the connections in Chico, and he was like instigating the situation where he fucking got the synthesis, this paper, to the music fucking scene paper, to do an interview, right? And I was supposed to be part of the interview or whatever, and they were like, oh, well, we're gonna do the interview without you or whatever, something like that. And then I was like, what? And then they tell me, oh, we're kicking you out, or we're gonna break up or whatever. And I don't forget exactly how that happened. I thought I just missed the interview and they were gonna do it, and I was like, whatever, that's fine. But come to find out, in their interview, they fucking totally fucking ousted me, and like we're like, oh yeah, we're finding a new singer and all this shit like this. So they put it out on fucking news in Chico, our little world of Butte County, and fucking after I make t-shirts, after like we made money off these gigs, and we're already gonna record the rest of the songs that I put this fucking year of hard work into getting this band going and making shit happen, other than my school, raising my kid, and making money and fucking trying to survive. You know what I mean? Putting all my extra time in the band and the fucking music when I could have put it in my art. So these guys fucking, my friends, I considered Matt and Dave my best friends for a lot of years. Until this day, I still love those guys. Jake, on the other hand, that fucker was always gunning towards taking my spot for the whole, since I've met him and shit. So it was I never considered him a friend, even though we were working together. And there was moments that we, you know, I fucking was at his house for a few months. So it was like, so there was moments that we actually connected and we were cool. But I don't know if that situation with the first girl, like, cause the girl wanted to meet me. Christine, she was a gorgeous girl, Italian girl. And so I passed on her because I was dealing with getting this girl pregnant, this other girl. So we flirted, and then we were all three in the same class, so we would always sort of hang out. And she liked me, I liked her. We even like hung out a few times, and then, or like sat in the grass and talked and blah blah blah. But then I ended up with the girl that, with Sarah, and so Jake ended up dating her, and he was even surprised that he got with her, because she was so gorgeous that he was like, damn, I can't even believe that this girl even hung out with me. And he wasn't a bad looking guy or whatever, but he was never got with girls, I guess, so. But I mean, she was one of those girls that could have been a movie star. She was just gorgeous, and she didn't know it, and that's how made her even more gorgeous. She was like, she was really hung out with nerds, and dated nerds. So she was Jehovah's Witness, so I don't know exactly if she was just coming out of her box or whatever. So anyway, so they've dated, I guess, I don't know how long, and then this was between the bands, we were at Butte College, and after the first band broke up, and then before we got back together, and then so I don't know what happened between me and the girl Sarah. I think we were breaking up already, and so we saw each other, and I was like, hey, let's hang out. Or she was like, hey, let's, I don't know, she wanted to still hang out because we liked each other. And so we met at the art store in Chico, and we were gonna go on a date or something. And then fucking Jake shows up, like, I don't know if he was following her or what. I was driving with her, and she was like, oh my God. And so he's standing there like looking at stuff, and I had to buy something, or for some reason we stopped there. And so I was like, oh my God, they're Jake. And like, and I didn't know their situation had just ended, I guess. That's what I thought. She told me. That's what she told me. And so I was like, oh shit, why is he here? Like, how the hell did he, first time we hang out, he's like, bam, walks in the store and standing right there, acting like he doesn't see us. And I was like, oh man. So she goes and tells him something. She's like, I'll deal with this. And so she goes and says something to him. And so I don't know how he felt for reals, like in his heart, because he was a sensitive guy, so I'm sure he got heartbroken, and I was part of that. And I'm like, fuck, dude, like, I felt like I saw her first, and even if I didn't, like, he was a computer guy, so if he knew. So when we were in a computer class, all three of us, like, we talk and stuff, but we weren't buddies. Like, we weren't like hanging out, and like if any of my other friends were there, we would be fucking hanging out and shit, and the class in art would be second. But with that guy, with Jake, like, it was always, he was kind of an acquaintance. Even if he was a buddy and we had moments, there was no other connection that we got along on. And then I think that just spearheaded some more drama. So we ended up hanging out. Me and the girl never really hung out. So I think we kissed once, and that was it. So, and I got back together with, I don't know what happened relationship-wise with me, but that never happened. And then the band got back together. He was with another girl. So I don't know if that played a part in it, but his new girlfriend hated me, like, or seemed like she hated me. I don't know. And so she would always like antagonize and try to like, put me and him at odds. And so when he did that, when he got the other guys to on a consensus to start a new project without me, in the way that they did it, I don't, like, and those guys had their own reason. Me and Matt also had odds, like, where, it was more, he was always cool, we were always cool, but I think as best friends we were having issues and stuff. So I don't know exactly, what. So when I found out, and they told me, and the shit was in the paper, and found out that we're recording, and that was going to be the last. We had 2 more gigs in Chico, and those were going to be our last gigs, and the recordings. We were gonna do the recordings, and that was it. So I wrote these songs and everything. We were recording them. So when we go to the studio, we already knew that we were breaking up, and these were my best friends and shit. So I'm like, fuck. So there was like a lot of issues already just between friendship and bands and fucking my own fucking drama with my having a kid with this chick and that breaking up, all that shit, heavy shit going on, you know, money. So I'm like in the situation. I have these shirts that I'm not even gonna sell. Put money on these shirts, the little money that I had. So I'm like, I'm stuck with these shirts. You know what I'm saying? Like being betrayed by people that I love was fucked up. So we do the gigs, and the guy that made the shirts is there to photograph because I asked him to take some band photos. So he comes and fucking takes fucked up photos because he knew what was going on, and I didn't know it was in the paper. I forgot exactly how it went on. Like if I didn't know everyone knew. So the pictures were of us breaking up. Like they're super fucking. The gig was even fucked up. Like the sound system was fucked. It was just like because Jake was running this show. He knew the guys at the bar. He was the one that set it up, set the bar up, set the gigs up, and knew these people. So the guy that owned, it was called the Crow or fucking, I forgot what it's called. They changed the name. So I'm having, I obviously must have had some issues with these bar owners. So I don't know who the fuck all these Chico people are, but they must, it seems like they knew who I was and they had it out for me. Or Jake had it out for me, or the Irish people in town had it out for me. I don't know who the fuck all these people were, but they set it up pretty good. You know, publicly trying to, you know, fucking trip me up. Because when it came to art and music, and you know, I was just doing more than everybody else. I was doing better than everyone else. I was putting all my time and effort into this shit. So it was almost like I was unstoppable. You know what I mean? I was fucking doing shit because of my hard work and because of my talent. So, you know, I don't know who got jealous, who got mad. And there's some other issues I'm going to go into, but fuck that. Like, it was really this group of these Chico. That's why I got issues with people from Butte County. It's like, dude, you guys fucking had it out for me for a long time. Some people were fucking hella coolest people ever, you know. But then there's this other group of people, and it seemed like Jake was part of it. So, so we do the gigs. I'm listening to the music, and he's like, oh, he's surprised that it even sounds good when he put it on the TV set. And I guess they had gotten together a bunch of times without me watching these videos or whatever. And I was like, hey, it sounds good, whatever. So that's when I found out it broke up. Oh yeah, I cut my hair, man. Fucking issue. My mom was an alcoholic and had problem and like some fucking drama. I don't know, family drama. So I was dealing with that too, but fucking I had longer hair and I fucking just cut it off just because that's part of fucking going through drama shit with your family. So I cut my hair off, and that's fucking the next day I go meet with these guys and they're like, oh, we're kicking you out or whatever. So I'm like, oh, and I was like, fuck that, you know, fuck yeah. Well, yeah, kind of. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I wasn't like, oh my god, I can't believe it. It was like, okay, well, fucking, I'm gonna do it anyway. That's kind of my mentality and my reaction, because I was like, well, fucking. So I changed the plans and stuff. My new plan was finish up these recordings, mix them up, and you know, go to art school. You know, do my art, do my own thing, music, art, whatever. The main thing was getting these recordings done because that was priority for me. You know, to make this worth the time and effort. And so we did songs and didn't mix them up. I already told that story. So that was a big deal of you know, these guys going on the paper and fucking saying some shit. We talked later, you know, and that's everything else another story. I don't really have any issues with the two dudes because I know them enough. Oh, and then so towards the end, like the last moment was like we were in front of one of the dudes' houses, and then I was like, and I fucking brought it up in front of the three guys. I was like, fuck that, dude. You know, we put so much work and effort. We're fucking close to getting shit done. Like, how are you guys gonna just throw this shit away and stuff? And it was like, I'm not really that kind of guy where I'm a group person or want to tear shit up. But I was like, come on, dude. Like, fucking, let's make this shit happen. All of us. And fucking. And this is before I even knew about the writings or whatever. And so, and the two dudes, my two friends, were like, they made it physical where they actually walked behind me and stuff. And Jake was just standing there. And I could have been like, all right, later, Jake, if I was confrontational like that. And it probably would have worked because these guys were following, you know, and they had their own agendas, but they knew somehow when I just said that, they were down with me, you know what I mean? We were down, we were more than musicians, friends. We were actually fucking real friends and shit. So, and I don't think their problems were with that, you know, so, but I don't know. So anyway, so Jake was just standing there and he was like, ooh, ooh. And so anyway, so I let it go and stuff. I was just like, whatever, you know, if it's not all of us, then you guys do your own thing. I'm going to do my own thing. So, because finding another bass player and going through all that, at the time, we already did, the point was that we already created something. Why throw it away without even fucking capitalizing on it? So that's what happened with that. So at that moment, Jake held strong to what he wanted to do, and really, like, finding them a new singer and all that shit was not what he wanted. He wanted to be the singer and shit, because towards the end he was singing songs. There was, you know, he wanted to start singing songs, which, you know, it's normal. Bands know this shit. Like, this is how bands do shit. You know, it's always the same story for every band and stuff. They always have these same issues. So it was not a surprise when Jake started doing that. So what else? So that was that, right? So that was that band. And those recordings. So really, like, I went and remixed it. So during art school, I met this other girl, this girl Miros and stuff, and we started dating and whatever. And then I moved to SF, and then so that's when I started mixing these songs and stuff, going to Puss Tavern and putting money down and finishing the songs, you know, and on my own, you know, I got, and it sounded good. They sounded good, and that's where these guys got surprised and whatever. So I don't know what the issues, copyright issues with these guys and stuff, because really we put a lot of time, but there were songs that I brought into the band. So, you know, but the recordings are all of us, and we all paid for them. So other than the money that I paid for, which I would say I probably put like $500 in, because it's pretty expensive to I fixed up some guitar parts, as far as Girl on a String, which I added some leads that needed. It just, the thing with me and Matt was he wanted to be the only guitar player, pretty much. Like, I don't know, like, so every time we'd mix or play live, he would put my sound down, which, like I said, I was keeping the rhythm. I was making the funk, putting the rhythm in there, the soul in there, and so when you take that out, that's everything is an accompaniment, you know, our embellishment. So it was like, ooh, it didn't sound good to me and stuff. So I had to fix that and put it in there, either raise up the sound and then add a little chink chink here and a and, you know, where it needed to be. And so I did that for Girl on a String, added, you know, and I wasn't super knowledgeable at playing leads, even though I had the feeling. So I was able to do, you know, the Panasonic scale or whatever. So I was, you know, I'd play a few notes here and there, a few leads here and there, but I was getting better because it was a concept that I had learned on the piano during when I got a piano up in Berry Creek. So I was like, oh, I learned my major scale. So I was like, bam, I gotta make another video at the time right now.